Good morning and welcome to everyone who joined today's Customer Success Story webinar with Mark Temple, IT Helpdesk and System Manager at University of Glasgow. Today's event will be moderated by Patrick Bolger, Hornbill's Chief Evangelist, who will manage the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Just to inform you, delegate audio will be muted during the presentation to help facilitate flow and timekeeping. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the GoToMeeting questions facility on the right-hand side of your screen. We'll collect the questions and answer them at the end of the presentation. Thank you very much for taking time to attend, and I will now pass you over to Pat.
Hi everybody, I'm Patrick Bolger, Chief Evangelist at Hornbill, and I have had the pleasure of actually seeing this presentation before. So Mark delivered it at the Hornbill User Group event in November of 2015, and I have to say, Mark, it was my favorite of the entire user group events. You guys have been customers of ours for 9 or 10 years now, and what you've done with Supportworks has been truly impressive, from rolling out across the university and doing some of your own automation with tools. So I was very impressed, and I hope you'll be impressing people today.
Thanks, Pat.
Well, listen, I'll hand over to you straight away, and you can just kick this off, and I'll be taking any questions from people. So please just type them into the Q&A section, and I'll be taking as many questions as I can towards the end, and hopefully between myself and Mark, we'll be able to answer them. Mark, if you want to kick off.
Grand, thank you, Pat. Okay, hello all, and thanks for tuning in. As Pat says, this was a presentation that I gave at the user group meeting last year, and no one threw anything at me, so I've been asked to present it again. The title I gave it, Supportworks ESP, as you'll all know, is the platform we use, but it's more than, it's a great platform, but it's more than that. It's what you build on it that really gives you the value in your business. So we'll move on. You know the theory of relativity equals MC squared. Well, I really think that Supportworks is the theory of productivity, what it brings to your business, and that hopefully will come through in this presentation. Okay, so first off, who am I and what do I do? Mark Temple, I'm the IT Helpdesk and Helpdesk Systems Manager at the University of Glasgow. My role involves all things Helpdesk and all things Supportworks. So I'm the day-to-day system administration through to the training, through to the management of our staff and student help desks. I'm also Vice Chair of ITSMF Scotland in my spare time, what little of it there is. Tell you a bit about the university. We were founded in 1451, so we got our bus pass quite a while ago. We moved to our current site, which a lot of people remark looks like Hogwarts. We moved here in the 1870s. We're in the top 1% of universities in the world. Currently 76th in the Times Higher Education World Rankings. Something we're very proud of. We have in excess of 25,000 students, undergraduate, postgraduate, distance learners, lifelong learners, so a whole mix. Supporting them, we have in excess of 6,000 academic research and support staff, so plenty of us. Our IT estate is vast. We have everything under the sun, and as it says there, quite a lot made by them too. We operate a mixed support model. Core services, email, file store, etc., run and supported centrally, and dedicated college support for specialised applications and equipment. A wee factoid for you all, we receive between 7 and 14 million emails each week, of which we reject between 85 and 95% of them as spam, a huge number. And if anyone finds the person who phoned me up from TalkTalk and asked for my username and password, tell them I'm still waiting for my $1 million. Okay, so on to the presentation proper. First off, I suppose I really should warn the ITIL purists amongst you, those of you who have achieved accreditation for your service desk, that we've gone off-piste quite a bit with what we've done. We have taken the ITIL mantra of adopt and adapt as far as we can probably go. We've bent every process into a shape that suits us rather than having the process dictate to us how we should be doing things. So you may be offended by some of the things we've done. Who knows? That tells me that we will have some counselling available after the presentation. So if you are truly offended, you can make use of that service. So going on to our Supportworks journey. I'll talk a bit about the history, about the challenges that we've faced, and there have been many of them. The improvements that we've made along the way, the lessons we've learned, and where we want to go in the future. It's by no means a done deal. It's not over. We have a lot more to achieve. So I suppose to look forward, you have to look back. So where were we in 2000 when we first introduced Supportworks? We had a help desk system before that, which was badly used, and that's both in terms of the number of people who used it or didn't use it, and the people who did use it used it badly as well. So we weren't in great shape. We put in Supportworks, and we spent a good bit of time trying to bring all the, I'll not call them warring factions, but the people with different opinions together. So at that time, we had no tie-in with 80% of our faculty support teams. The university was structured at that time as 9 faculties, each of them with their own dedicated IT team. So we had a big journey there, a big ask to get all these people together on one system. It wasn't helped by, at the time, we had very poor customer data. We had no automation of this. So the data that was in the system initially ended up being stale very quickly. So we cracked that nut, and we moved on from there. At the beginning as well, and prior to Supportworks, we had no customer self-service. Sorry, everything was emailed or phoned in. We had no concept of change or incident. Everything was just a call. We had no standard change or release processes, though some teams were doing their own flavour of change management, but there was nothing integrated, nothing joined up. We had, believe it or not, more help desks than you could shake a stick at. We had a help desk for everything. Everyone was acting as their own help desk, and what could possibly go wrong? We also had the software we were running prior to putting in Supportworks. We had 2 flavours of it running side by side. One camp using one camp using the other, which was far from ideal. There were also several of the teams were running their own flavour of call logging systems. Some of them, it could be Excel. They were logging calls, so that concept wasn't alien to them, but just how they were doing it. We had others were using the back of the proverbial to record what they were doing. It could be likened to the Wild West without the cowboys, but that's for others to judge. So we put in Supportworks, and we're still going strong all these years later. Initially, it was really just for central IT and for our data protection office, who were already using the incumbent system. But we've grown that over the years, and now a large number of services are using it, and I'll touch on them later in the presentation. A bit more about our Supportworks estate. We're on the latest release, or rather now they've sneaked in version 8, so maybe we're just slightly off the curve on that one, but we're on a very high release anyway. We have, as you can see there, 200 concurrent users of Supportworks, although we have 700 plus named analysts on the system, so it's very well used, and I think we get good value out of the number of licenses we have. We have 25, and that's actually 25 plus shared mailboxes. I think that's actually gone up a couple since I typed this slide up, and we use VPME. I wouldn't be without it, and I'll speak a bit more about that as we go on in the presentation. Last year we had a fairly large exercise of virtualizing all our Supportworks environments, and it was a godsend. It's something I don't know how we would have got to where we are without doing this. It makes life so much easier. So we run a production virtual machine. We have live database replication to our DR site, and we also run a dev environment too. So what's worked for us mainly with Supportworks over the years? One of the greatest things, and I think this says so much for the system, is that we have, and Hornbill probably will be horrified in the fact that we haven't spent any money in consultancy over the years, but that really speaks volumes to me that we've got to where we are with very little, if any, consultancy. It's a system that we've been able to bend into a shape that suits us, and with local knowledge. So again, going back to it, was one of the reasons we went for Supportworks was very much that it's a system that we felt that would fit in with our needs, our way of working. It wasn't restrictive. It wasn't going to force us to adopt its processes. We could make it adopt ours, and that has been true to date. Also, the strong support community was very big for us. We were able to speak to a lot of people. We liked the idea of the community, that people were sharing, not just if I've got a problem, how do I fix it, but it was I've found this new thing I can do with it. Here, why don't you all give it a try? It was very, very open and honest. And of course, VPME, as I said, we are big users of VPME, and I'll show you later on, or we'll talk about some of the things that we've done with VPME. I would describe VPME as a gift from the gods, although granted the gods charged for the gift, but it's been worth every penny. So for those of you who haven't seen what VPME looks like, that's just one of the workflows within it, but we'll talk more about it later. So other improvements that we've made with Supportworks, or to Supportworks. Self-service, is something that we have spent a bit of time on improving, to fit our needs. It's something that we do. We're now at a point where we do need to spend a bit more time on it, but again, some of that later. Spotlight is our alerts procedure, and I'll show you how that has been built into Supportworks, and then it's been distributed from Supportworks. Bulk loaded jobs, changes, passwords. Again, we'll look through all this stuff, and I'll not read out any more of the headings. You can see them all here for yourself. Let's go on and talk about them. So our self-service, we have a number of ways that people can get to it, whether it's just direct to its front door, or also we've integrated it in our SharePoint offering, so the single sign-on through that. The day, the stats you can see there are probably quite a quiet day. So I looked at it this morning, and we're sitting with the resolved figure sitting about 10,500. The in progress is sitting about 4,000. So it's a busy system. It's used across many disciplines. So and there's a lot of automated work goes through it as well. So our self-service journey didn't start out very well, as I'm sure probably as this is true for most of you. We were lucky if we were getting 5% through, although a lot of people seem to, as I've always called them, the wires who go in and look at their calls within self-service but don't actually log them in self-service. It was an odd phenomenon that people will call the help desk, get the call logged, but then we'll go back into self-service to check to see how it's progressing. And thankfully that has, over the years, we've managed to push that up over the 20% of people who are actually logging their calls within self-service, and that's, I think that's something that I would like to see that as double that amount. So we've still got a bit of work to do there. We realised that initially we made a mistake that probably a lot of you have done too with problem profiles, etc. Is the language was more suited to the analyst than to the customers, and that's something that I'll hold my hand up to, and something that we need to engineer out of Supportworks. And I've seen a lot of brilliant work that people have done with self-service on the forum, and I like a lot of the way people have gone with more graphical than textual. So we've got a bit of work to do there too. And it's not just for IT. We have to have a unified portal for all our services. Spotlight. This is our alerts procedure. So you'll be familiar with issues within Supportworks, and we've just, again, you're free to tweak how these forms look and add bits onto the controls, which we've done. So what we've got here is we've got one place that we can update what's happening with this particular alert, and we can then publish it out through many channels. So we've got one place to maintain this information. We've got one point of truth, and it will then push out to the various audiences, and that's been a godsend for us, because it's before we were updating stuff in multiple areas. Also, we've built in there that it keeps a history of, I say we call it FLAP, as what we initially called our frontline. It was FLIP. It was frontline incident procedure, and then it became a FLOP when it was the frontline operations procedure. But we ended up within a FLAP with frontline alerts procedure. So that's where we've stuck. But this will give us every time it's updated, it will store what the message said at that particular time. So we have a timeline of when people later say you didn't communicate during this incident, but we can turn and say yes, we did. It's at 10 o'clock the message said that, at 10:30 we changed it to something else. So it might be something you think about doing yourself. And also, depending on how, whether it's a known, whether it's, we've also added in analyst news, and as well as hot. This will change the colour of how it shows up, how the styling is on our web pages. So I'll take you through to that next. You'll see, so that was a known, so it's in orange. Had it been a hot issue, it would have been in red. And also, when you tick the fix in place box, it then echoes out as green. So again, it makes life easier for the people managing an incident, because they've got a lot to think about. But to me, it makes it so much more valuable for our customers when they're looking to see, is there a problem with system X or whatever. So again, you can see it's the same. It's echoed out, the message is echoed out to analysts, it's echoed out to customers, and it's the same message, the same point of truth. Other things we've done, bulk load. This came about, our old system, the analysts used to complain that if we had a technician going out to build 5 PCs in a department, they got one call with the 5 PC's details in it. And especially at times where we can be blitzing a department. If you think about going from XP to Windows 7, there were hundreds of machines at a time being upgraded. So they wanted one call per machine, and also from being able to tie that call to a particular asset rather than having a whole lot of assets bundled up in one call. This made sense. So we came up with a system that allowed us to bulk load, basically take a note of all the asset numbers and bulk load this into Supportworks. So basically each asset had a call, and it was correctly profiled, and it was assigned to the correct team. So it was a wee bit of work, but it was worth doing. So now we feed the CSV file in with the details of the customer, of the asset, whatever, and it echoes it back to us, and then we hit a button and off it goes. It has now logged 40 calls for a particular team, and they can then go on with them. So it's well worth doing. On to change control and release management. You won't be surprised to hear, decided that we would build our own flavour of this, because that's kind of how things work here. So within Supportworks, we built our own, using the forms and VPME to drive the logic in the background. So we're capturing all the stuff we need to do with the proposed change, and we have the approvers, the mini cab, if I can call it that, which Supportworks taps them all on the shoulder and asks them to go and have a look and to vote on it, and it also notifies whoever has proposed the change at the various stages of how it's getting on, and when or if they can proceed. And also we publish that out as an FSC as well. I need to get that into a diary format. That's another to do for this year. Okay, password management. Another one of the improvements that we've made and built on top of Supportworks. We had a system which, I'll not name any names, but it was kind of useless in the fact that the self-service required the customer to answer about 7 questions, and they had to remember the answer to every single one of them if they wanted to reset their password, which just never happened. Although I did find one person who said, "Oh no, it worked perfectly for me." So, how did you remember all the answers to the questions? And he said, "Well, I put Glasgow for every single one of them." So that worked for him, but it's not an ideal way of doing it. So we had another problem as well, that as well as this tool not being brilliant, our help desk had to look up people's identity in multiple places, and they then they changed their password in another system, and if they ever remembered, then they would go to Supportworks and log a call to say that they had changed such and such as password, which it just making what is not a great task. It made it even harder for everyone. So we decided this needs fixed. So let's try and get all this into one place. So we've given our help desk one place to look up all of these attributes of the customer, so they can confirm identity, and they also have a place that they can then, within that, it will automatically, and unfortunately it's not showing you on that slide there, it will automatically populate a strong password and will send that out to the customer. So it's all automated, and it will talk to Supportworks and log a call, and VPME will then resolve that call. So there is no manual call logging at all for the analysts. And the same again here, we've basically turned this interface inside out so that it faces out to the customer, and they can reset their own password. It will ask them some questions. It will send an email to their registered third-party address, and it will then, they will be able to reset their own password, and under the bonnet it will talk to Supportworks and will log a call and resolve it. So again, no manual intervention, but we've got a record that customer X changed their password or reset their own password. And if they go to change their password, it's the same deal. And this is, when you monetize passwords and their effect on the organisation, it shows you that it really is worth doing something with the with passwords and making it easier for people to reset their own, especially as support needs are global and are 24/7. It's some interesting figures there from Gartner. And granted, I think they're a wee bit out of date now. It might even be more expensive, who knows? But you can see if you're getting 1,000 password resets a year, depending on the size of your organisation, that's a lot of money. So it's we guesstimated, it could be, we could be up to about £70,000 a year it was costing. So that's, and I think that was a conservative guesstimate. So it's a lot of money, worth doing something about. And also now that, as I say, the system now talks to Supportworks, so we have data on, we know how many passwords have been changed, we know how many our help desk are changing, we know how many people change them themselves, and how many people are able to reset them themselves when they've locked themselves out for some reason. You can see we get huge spikes. Obviously our start of session, the August, September, October is the busiest time of the year in the university. So we get a lot of and a lot of password related traffic at that point, and anything that we can do that makes it easier for the customer to help themselves is a bonus. So you can see the sort of spikes there, what we're dealing with. On to 5-bar gates. For those of you who are old enough to know what a 5-bar gate is, there are some things that we found within the help desk. We were logging, and this is going to sound kind of daft, we were logging what we weren't doing, but we weren't logging what we were. And if I can explain that, in that if the help desk were dealing with something and it was a quick, how do I do X? Well, you do it like this. Oh, that's great, that's sorted. It wasn't getting logged, so we were losing a lot of what we were doing. Whereas if it was something that, well, if you try this and all that didn't work, we would log the call and pass it to another team, so it was getting logged. Also, our student desk is predominantly walk-up, so we really had no MI on what was coming through the door. So we decided let's have a slightly smarter version of a 5-bar gate. So we got together all the sort of the most frequently asked, the frequently experienced problems that we had of people coming through the door. So basically, the help desk or help desks or staff and student help desks are separate. We're able to quickly we had one of them, with another one of them, with another one of them. So now we actually know our student desk has more than 1,000 people through the door every month, which before we couldn't tell you how many people were coming through the door. So it works. It's and then this feeds into a table in Supportworks. It could quite easily, using VPME, automatically log a call. We're stacking these up in a table, and we report against that table on a weekly basis. Another flavour of it, one team wanted to know, they wanted to know the number of transactions they were having, but also the number of actions that each transaction spawned. So you could have someone coming in and asking for 10 certifying letters, whereas before they were only really counting that they had one person in asking about certifying letters. Now they know that and each certifying letter takes 5 minutes to produce. Okay, that's where all the time's going. Now that took 50 minutes rather than they were thinking it was taking 5 minutes. But again, simple things, and with the API being open, you you can feed this straight to Supportworks natively, or if you want to get it to send an email to Supportworks, and Supportworks will pick it up and process it. Scheduled calls, another area that it took a while to get this off the ground. For years I've been saying to especially our AV team, this would be great for you guys. You know, we have hundreds of teaching spaces. Each of them has a projector in it. Each of them has equipment that needs checked every so often. And now granted, some of the equipment now will call you up on its own, being IP based, but they do need a presence. They do need somebody to go around and just have a general look at what condition the area is in. And for years I said, well, you know, we could have Supportworks schedule calls and assign them to you. No, we don't, no, not interested. Don't want to do it that way. No. And then it was after a couple of years, one of the AV technicians came to me and said, you know, I know Supportworks won't be able to do this, but it would be really good if it would, every so often, it would create a call, assign it to us to prompt us to go and work on a particular teaching space. So after they picked me up off the floor, I'm thinking, you know, I've heard this story before, and it was a case of, yes, we can do it. Of course, we can do it. And now every quarter it's pumping out about 200 calls for checks, and again for each space on its own, not just a generic. You need to go and do something. It's telling them exactly which space, and also then that gives us an audit trail that when someone says, well, you guys never maintain these areas, we have the trail that says, well, yes, we do. The call was logged at such and such. I know that X went to the room. Here's some comments of what they've changed, etc. So it's all there. Just the proof that they are actually logging all the calls. Satisfaction we've fed into or fed from Supportworks rather, in that each resolution email there is a link, and that goes out to the customer. We've combined the call reference number within the link, so because before we were giving them a link, and then when they went to the page to register their satisfaction or otherwise, the first thing I asked them for was who are you, and you know, are you staff, are you student, which area are you from, etc., which is meaningless if we've got the call reference. We can tell from the call exactly whether they're staff or student, which college they're from, etc. So it saved a lot of hassle, and we, you know, I think it has helped the uptake of the satisfaction in that it's cut the number of questions down. But again, I know Supportworks will do this. There is a module for it, but as ever, we felt compelled to build our own. So again, going back to the enterprise service management side of things, you can see the other, although it's a bit jumbled, these wordles. We're using it, our student services, data protection, library, finance, information security, campus security. It's been used all over, and I'm not long away from a meeting where we've got agreement to move it into other areas. So it's becoming, you know, part of the fabric. Data protection, freedom of information, just as an example. So again, through the use of data dictionaries, we're able to give them their own forms. They will trap or gather the information that suits them, and not be forced to pick up the information that other people find useful, but they don't, which helps drive down their reporting. One story there is that they were before, there was someone spent the best part of a Friday every week generating reports for senior management on data protection and freedom of information matters. That's automated now, so they're freed up to go on with what they should be doing, rather than spend their day creating reports. It was a bit, it was pain to set them up at the time because they were again a bit off-piste, but it was worth the effort when you're saving someone sort of half a day, 3/4 of a day a week. Moving on, our campus security. Granted, this is Glasgow and we don't have a lot of crime, but when something does happen, they're able to record it. Anything, the campus is vast, it's open, so things happen. It's open to the public. You have, not just crime. We have, where there's a car crash or a chemical spillage or goodness knows what. All of this stuff is getting recorded and is now easy to report against. Also, we've recently added lost and found property, so that's all easy to. It should be easier now to, when something is found and then the person who's lost it appears, to marry the two of them up, and also to report against it. Again, they've got their own forms. They're able to do what they have different call classes for them. Other use of Supportworks, we've taken it our student services. Granted, as I say, we can have about 10,000 calls logged in the August, September, October period. It's a lot of traffic, and we manage that through Supportworks. We have rolled it out to our library, our finance department, and HR are making more and more use of it all the time. Intelligent call routing, this feeds in from the student services side of things. With Supportworks, you'll be aware that you've got, you can have a certain call profile. If you pick a call profile that particular from self-service, then that particular call will go to a particular team. And you can marry that up with, if it's a profile about a certain service, then it goes to that team. That worked fine for us, but then we got to a point where we needed, depending on the time of year, to tweak the logic. So if we were in our busy period of August, September, October, then the call went to a different team than it would do if we were in the business as usual part of the year. So that was tweaked with VPME, my favourite product, and that worked fine for us for a bit. But then they come along and said, oh well, yeah, that's okay, but we really need it now. If it's a student from our arts college, that the call goes to the arts team, and if and so on. If it was an engineering student, it goes to engineering. So it's now depending on the profile they've picked, and depending on the time of the year it is, and depending on whether they're a student in a particular college, the routing would go to a certain team. So that was managed through VPME, and that worked fine. And then they just said, oh, well, could we have it where if they're a member of staff in that particular college, okay. Again, we've now got that through VPME. And again, that worked for a while, until they then decided, well, we would really be better if, depending on the academic programme that the student's on, for certain problem profiles, that it routed differently. So we now have it's by the profile they've picked, by the time of year, by the college they're in, whether they're staff or student, and depending on which academic programme they're in, the logic will route that call to the correct team. So it's sort of 5-dimensional almost in how that works, and say and it's table based within Supportworks, so easy to maintain. Nearly finished. The future for us, a lot more out of our support. We need to do probably a lot more with our knowledge base to support that, and that we need to. We have, we now have a presence in the Far East, and even locally, people are working or expecting to be supported at 2 in the morning at 6 in the morning's an idea, 8 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. So we do need to do more with knowledge management to help support that. We are working on what I've called Project Superdesk, but I wish I'd never given it the title, because it's grown legs here. Basically, this is a much even bigger use of Supportworks across services, a much more integrated approach from, but at the same time giving the customer one place to go, and that they're kind of oblivious to who is working on their call. They don't need to know that I need to go and pick this particular area. It will all be done for them. But a much more cohesive mix of services. So, wrapping up, in summary, I would say, if you can't make VPME pay for itself, then you aren't trying hard enough. That's been my mantra for a long time. It really helps. You get the most out of Supportworks. It allows you to bend any business logic to suit you, rather than the system dictating how you're going to work it. Second point would be, if you can't make VPME pay for itself, then you aren't trying hard enough. And you'll be surprised to hear that the third point, no, I'm kidding. As I said at the beginning, Supportworks is a platform. It's there to be used. It's there to be bent into a shape that suits you. So use it. And that's me. Thank you very much.
Mark, I have to say, you continue to impress me. It's not uncommon, really, for people to kind of blame the tool. The tool doesn't do this. The tool doesn't do that. But in a lot of cases, we find that actually they're not really getting the most from the use of the tool, and you guys certainly are.
We are indeed, Pat. Yeah, I would agree with you. I would agree. I mean, it's very often, and also people who buy in a new tool thinking that, we got rid of the old tool that people didn't work very well, we'll buy a new tool, and you're just replicating the problem, unless it's a tool that you can do something with.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's actually a platform, so you can actually do quite a lot with it. And actually, that leads me on to one of the first questions we got here, because we've got a question that said you mentioned that you required little or no consulting. That's correct, Mark, isn't it? You spend no money with us at all. So it's just asking, what kind of skills do you need to kind of maintain and configure your own version of Supportworks?
Well, when I started, I'm a motor mechanic to trade, so that maybe gives you a bit of a feel for what sort of skills you need. I had no programming skills. Granted, I have learned them since, but it's basic SQL skills will help you with VPME. A lot of it's graphical though, so it does help put you in or point you in the right direction. But I say I'm not a programmer to trade, and I've got it to sing a lot of songs. So those of you who probably are more skilled in the art than I am will definitely be able to get a tune out of it.
Lovely. Someone else has asked for advice. So what advice would you offer? So you mentioned you're getting about 20% and you're hoping to drive it more. So what advice would you offer to promote initial adoption and ongoing adoption of self-service?
Yeah, I once foolishly said we would stop answering the phones as a joke, and it got minuted, and then there was a lot of people cracking up that the help desk were never going to answer the phone again. But that's definitely not the answer. Not the answer. We would, I think that the speaking their language, when people can see the benefit, I suppose it comes down to the what's in it for me. When you're displaying information in self-service that means something to them, that gives them a point of reference to go to report stuff, to check on how it's doing, and to see, oh well, I'm experiencing a problem. Well, I'll go and check there to see if it's been reported already. That I think is the essence to it. You really have to give people something that is fit for them, rather than it suits the help desk that the calls don't come directly to them. They go through self-service. If you go at it at that angle, then I think you're doomed to failure.
I think that's a big issue for the vast majority of IT groups, because basically they kind of want to use self-service because they're under-resourced. They're getting more requests than they know what to do with. So they're kind of forced into the adoption of self-service, hoping that will actually reduce the number of calls. And then they put all the effort in there. But actually it is then designed from IT's perspective, using IT's kind of language and not really in the customer's terminology, and as a result, surprise, surprise, people don't take it up.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we've learned that lesson, and we're also, I think too many problem profiles. A mistake we made was we created thousands of problem profiles.
Yep.
So you bamboozle the customer with, what, is it one of these? Is it one of the? I don't know. And then they just pick any old profile.
Correct. Yeah.
Whereas where we've gone now, we're really shrinking the number of. I mean, just treating a problem profile as a customer-facing profile. It's not for the analyst.
Yeah, it's just a bucket that they can put stuff in. Yeah. Yeah.
And then we have a much more granular set of resolution profiles where the analyst can say it was X, Y, or Z that was up, and we report against the resolution profiles.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, someone else has asked about use of Spotlight, and whether that Spotlight was the announcements that you put out there about different services, stuff known to be impacted. You had your red alerts, but someone's asking, is that use of Spotlight and its communication of issues to your user community actually reducing call volumes, or having any impact on call volumes on the service desk?
It is definitely reducing the number of people who will come to, who automatically would have, there's a problem, I'll pick up the phone and ask the help desk. That has dropped off.
Right.
And we make a point of, in every communication now, saying check Spotlight. It will be up. We will update it on Spotlight. Check Spotlight, and it's become. It took a wee bit to get folk into the notion of doing that, but again, they see the value in it. It's I know where to go to look for these things. There's one point of truth. I'm not phoning up the help desk and waiting in a queue because everyone else is phoning up the help desk to report a certain thing. I can see that there's a problem. Okay, I'll check back. It says check back in an hour. I'll check back in an hour. It says it's fixed. Okay, I'm good.
Well, when you think about it yourself, I do exactly the same thing. So I don't want to call a supplier or a service provider or whatever it is to actually ask them if there is a problem, if I can actually go to a website and say, oh, yes, there is a problem, okay, and there's valuable information that tells me, when I'm likely to get service restored or something like that. I do it all the time with things like my internet service provider. Of course, I do it on my phone when I don't have service, but it's the first place I go to now. So I suppose the valuable piece of advice there will be, if you're going to do this type of thing, make sure you announce everything on it and make sure that the messages on there are always up to date.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So we got a number of just quite a few questions come in here. So someone's asking about your forward schedule of change. They were interested in that the FSC that you showed earlier. The question is it automatically updated when your changes go through the approval process?
Yes. We put on it, there is a flag for, where is it waiting for approval? Has it been approved? Has it been, has it been done? So yes, it keeps it live. We also, there was another process I didn't show in there, or what we call SDEEP, which is the Service Development Enhancement Approval Process. Great for acronyms here. That's a 5-letter acronym rather than 3. But again, it gives people were always complaining, well, I don't know, I proposed this thing, nobody knows where it's gone. It's gone down a black hole, basically. Now it will show, it's past, it's at stage 1 of 3, it's at stage 2 of 3, etc. So it gives people visibility of it.
Okay. A lot of people are very, very impressed by the fact that you've actually written your own kind of password reset tool, and you're saying it saved you about 70k per annum. One of the questions here is how much effort was actually involved in doing that? How long was it done? How long did it take? How many people? Number of elapsed days, or?
Well, I can tell you the number of people. Me. So
one of the halves.
Me while I was me while I was doing all my other jobs. So
Really?
I found it was actually surprisingly easy to do.
Right.
With I'll not give away the keys or anything like that of exactly how it was done, but it was reasonably easy to do. And the integration with Supportworks was very easy to do as well.
Oh, wow.
So it was it took longer to get the style sheets to, as you'll know yourself, longer to do the decoration than it did to do the operation. As I've heard it said.
As is often the case, yeah. Right, I got a couple more. I'll try and rattle through these as quick as someone's impressed with your 5-bar gates thing. I was just asking the question. Actually, there's a statement for it. It just says it seems to be giving you a real sign into demand you're facing at the service desk. Have you been able to use this information to allocate resources or justify automation of certain things?
Yes, is the answer to that. In that, it is when justifying, when I'm asking for staff. I mean, every year our student desk is staffed by students. If that doesn't sound too mad.
Yeah.
So every year some of them graduate, so we need to replace them. But every year it's not just a straight like-for-like replacement. There has to be a business case. Why are we, why can we not survive with 2 less or 3 less or whatever? So this is now giving me the information that I can say, well, there's 1,000 people coming through the door a month. These are the sort of things that they're doing for them. Okay, well, you can't do that with 2 people less.
Wow,
Fine.
wow. Because that's always the challenge for service delivery managers, isn't it? Justifying the amount of effort involved, and if not everything gets logged, then an awful lot of work just slips underneath. Just goes by the wayside. You don't actually track it, so that's really good from that perspective.
Yeah, I mean that's I say that we're getting we're logging what we do as before we were kind of logging what we didn't do, what we were giving away to other people. So definitely ticking a box there.
Yeah, indeed. So okay, got a few more to rattle through. Someone's asking about the changes you made to the customer satisfaction thing and the fact that you require less input from users. So the question is, did those changes to the way you track satisfaction result in an increase in your response rate from users?
I think I would be lying if I said that. Basically, I don't have we weren't tracking the numbers as well before, so I think I'd be lying if I said it did. What it absolutely does do, though, I say, is it takes out the what is your name, which college are you from, are you staff or student or whatever. So straight away you're taking 3 questions out of a satisfaction survey.
Well, I can tell you now, from my perspective, if I'm asked that type of thing when I get a satisfaction survey, I generally, what I want to do is I want to click on a rating of between 1 and 5 or 1 and 10 or whatever the hell that is. And I'll respond if it's like that, and if it's not, I won't. So that's my own personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm with you there. I'm with you. So I mean, we're down to the nuts and bolts of what it is what are the people's comments, and we can then, where it's been very helpful for us is that we can, before it was more anonymous, and we do say, if this has come from a call, we will contact you if you've said something, that if there's something that needs to be addressed. So we can now get back to people. We can see within the call what has happened. So we've got the call diary, And again, sometimes you've got the person who said, I'm extremely dissatisfied, etc. And you look at the call and say, well, it was picked up within 5 minutes. The job was done within 10 minutes. So you've obviously just clicked the wrong button. So we're not.
Yeah.
As people do in surveys.
They do indeed, yeah, expecting miracles. Listen, I've got time for one more question, Mark, before we get kind of shut down and approaching our allocated time slot, should we say. This is actually quite a long one, but I think it's a short question. Enterprise service management is a hot topic at present. How hard is it to fit one platform or system into so many different units? Can they have different forms and different roles? And do you have the ability to share calls between different business units?
The answer is, it's effort. There's no, there's no magic wand, there's no magic bullet. You do. I think a lot of it is, if you ask people any disparate number of disparate groups, they will all want a different form from everyone else. They will all want their spin on things, and a lot of it is breaking it down to what is it you actually need here.
Yeah.
What is, and this is, when I looked at our campus security, when I first went to them about it, it was a case of, well, we record jammed printers, we record, a PC that's gone in fire or whatever. You guys record broken windows, unlocked property, that sort of thing. What's the difference?
Yeah.
There's no great, we're not that far apart. The basics of what we're trying to do are pretty much the same. So yeah, through the data dictionary side of things, there are some teams who use the same call classes, so they are able to pass calls between each other.
Right.
They do have the same forms for certain things. Other ones, the data dictionary is, with some of them, the call can go one way, but it can't. If a call came from the other side over there, they wouldn't be able to see it for reasons of security and confidentiality.
Of course. Yeah, that makes sense. Mark, I have to say, impressed again. Keep doing whatever it is you're doing with Supportworks. And I heard many promises there about things like the graphical self-service interface and stuff like that. So I'm going to be checking on you in the next number of months. Otherwise, you'll have to get some consultancy. Never going to happen, right? No, you're doing too. You don't need any help from us. You're doing an incredible job. So, Mark, I just want to say thank you very much. That was very insightful and should give some people inspiration as to what they can achieve. And, as you said, it's a platform. So no excuse after that example for not getting the most from it.
Definitely. Thanks, Pat.
Thanks a lot, Mark. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Keep tuned in.